Well, just like that, we already have another complete month behind us, and my portfolio just reached a brand new all-time high milestone that I'm going to have to share with you guys in this video. Along with that, I want to share with you guys all the buys I've been making as of recently across the portfolio over the last month, because I've been buying ETFs and stocks like absolute crazy over the past 30 or so days. So if you want an inside look inside my 7-figure dividend portfolio, as well as seeing all the different purchases I made over the last 30 days, which stocks, which ETFs, etc., make sure to stick around, drop a like down below, and let's get right into it. Real quick, for those that haven't already, make sure to go to the first link in my description and grab my new dividend investing ebook, where I share exactly how I went from $0 invested to now earning over $6,000 on a monthly basis and over $1 million invested in the market. Along with the ebook, you're also going to receive my custom dividend tracker, where you can track your dividend progress on an ongoing basis and reach your dividend investing goals. So make sure to grab yourself a copy of my dividend investing ebook and the new dividend tracker today. It's the first link in my description. Now, before I show you all the purchases I made over the last month or so, and trust me, it's a lot, you guys are going to want to stick around, I did reach a brand new milestone I'm super excited to share with everyone. I reached 703 shares of SCHD in the last day or so I reached this, which brings me extremely close to my goal for 2024, which is 750 to 1,000 shares of SCHD, which now I think without a doubt will probably be able to hit. Now, I had some extra cash balance in my portfolios because of some CDs that expired, so I went ahead and just said, you know what, ever since I heard the news about the most recent dividend increase with SCHD, as well as the ETF split to the 3-for-1, which I think is extremely bullish personally, I decided to take a little bit more of a chunk of money and buy a little bit more SCHD, a little bit more than I do normally. Now, this is also cool because this makes SCHD one of the larger positions across my entire portfolio, and if you guys have been following along for a while, you know that not all that long ago whatsoever, SCHD, although one of my favorite positions, was a relatively smaller position across the portfolio. But more importantly, now to get into some of the fun stuff, I want to share with you guys what I've been purchasing over the last month or so, because like I said earlier, I have been doing a ton of trading. I've been adding a ton more assets to my portfolio, so let's get right into that now. So first, just as of recently, I've been buying some more CDs because a lot of these CDs are still offering nearly 5%. I bought 6 CDs just as of recently. I bought another one a few days ago, 3 more, and then 1 more US Treasury bill. Again, just trying to utilize some of this fixed income while rates are still relatively high. And on top of that, I like to use it as sort of a cash balance, sort of a piggy bank, in case there's some different stocks or ETFs I want to buy in the future. But then as of recently, I bought another few shares of EPD, Enterprise Product Partners. This was the first time I bought EPD in quite some time, although EPD is one of my favorite higher yielders, so it's pretty awesome that I added some more EPD to my portfolio. Then before that, I bought a ton of GPICs, the Goldman Sachs S&P 500 Premium ETF. This is a newer ETF that I just came across as of recently. It's sort of like JEPI, but a little bit different. This ETF I've been buying like crazy. Now before that, I bought more GPICs, I bought more GPICs, I bought more. Before that, I bought some Main Street Capital. Main Street Capital is still a position that I'm desperately trying to grow throughout my portfolio, but it's very, very expensive. You can see it's around $50 per share as of right now. So Main will be a larger purchase. I'll buy more shares at a time. And this is if it dips in price, of course, but grab 2 shares and then 1 share earlier that day. Then I've been buying some more of the NEOS Nasdaq High Income ETF. I'm talking about QQQI. This is still a tiny position compared to the other cover call style ETFs in my portfolio. So I have been slowly building this one up. Although I'm not the biggest fan of it, I do like it as far as high yield goes. I bought a share here, I bought 3 shares there, I bought 4 shares, 6 more shares, and then I bought some SCHD, of course. Now, as you can see, I buy more or less 1 share of SCHD every single day. That's sort of my go-to position and my go-to strategy. If I don't buy SCHD in this portfolio, I buy it on a different portfolio. And that's, of course, how I've been able to grow up my SCHD position altogether so large over the last 2 years or so. So as you can see, I bought a ton of SCHD over the last 30 days. Then I bought some more SPYI. I bought 7 more shares of it. SPYI, the NEOS S&P 500 High Income ETF. This is an ETF that I'm a huge fan of. I've held now for several months, probably 6, 7, 8 months. I can't really remember. Although I love this ETF, I love buying it. I am getting to the point now where my SPYI position is getting pretty large and sort of maxed out. I'm probably not going to buy much more this one, at least not unless it dips in price. So SPYI, as much as I love it, I think I'm probably going to, for the most part, be done with this one for now. Then as you see here, I bought a bunch more SPYT, the Defiance S&P 500 Target Income ETF. This one's a little bit more risky. It yields like 20%. I'm not exactly certain about it. I do like the strategy though, and I do think it could do well this year. So I have been buying a little bit more of it here and there. I think altogether I have a few hundred shares or so. Then before that, I bought a lot more SVOL. I bought 4 shares, 2 shares, 2 shares, 3 shares, etc., etc. Now, SVOL did announce their most recent distribution, and it is 28 cents. And it was a little bit smaller, which was a bummer, of course, because this ETF has been paying the same amount now for a while. So a lot of the high yield investors were a little bit bummed out by that. But SVOL has still performed pretty well in my portfolio. It's still offering like a 15% trailing 12-month dividend yield. So although this one, again, just like SPYI, is probably sort of maxed out in my portfolio, it's still an ETF that I'm going to hold on to long term. Now, speaking of volatility, I also bought a ton of ZIVB. This is basically similar to SVOL, but instead it has a much more aggressive strategy. Now, ZIVB is a relatively small position, but in my portfolio, I like to have a tiny little bit of risk in my portfolio with an amount of money that I'm, of course, very, very comfortable losing. So that, for the most part, is most of the ETFs that I've been purchasing over the past month or so. As you saw, I also grabbed a few shares of Main Street Capital, so some stocks in there too, but my daily purchases pretty much consist of something like this. Now that brings me to my final portion of this video. I wanted to go through my entire portfolio, share with you guys what I'm holding on to, and talk about any positions that I am planning on adding more, selling off, etc. So I still have my 1759 BDJ, nothing new there. We have just under 1,500 shares of Devo. I did buy some more Devo as of recently also on a different portfolio, so Devo still is on the daily buy list. We have our 1262 Verizon, our 1,000 Apple shares. Still our QLD, nothing new there. We still have our 2,705 shares of Realty Income. I probably will grab some Realty Income soon, if of course it drops below $60 per share. Then we have our JEPI shares, we have our EPD, which as you saw, I did grab some more EPD as of recently. We have our 700 BST, we have our 510 JEPQ, we have our 3 shares of ZIVB, which I have to update this. I do have much more than 3 shares now. We have our NUC shares, we have our XYLD, we have our 703 shares of SCHD, we have our 311 of Altria, our 261 of Triple N REIT, we have our 100 shares of JP Morgan, we have our almost 300 shares of Vici, 59 shares of Kinder Morgan, Main Street Capital, it's still only 250 or so. We have our 350 of WP Carey, 47 of PNW. We have our 255 Tesla, we have our 24 shares of UPS, 20 of Pembina, we have our 18 shares of Arbor, we have our 16 shares of Extra Space Storage, 17 of SPG, we have our pretty much maxed out position of SVOL, around 700 shares, 9 Stag, 8 T-Row, we have our 19 shares of KMB, our 3,200 of VNQ, 200 of Coca-Cola, we have our 700 PSA, we have our 722 SPYI, like I said, also pretty close to be maxed out, we have our 12 FP, 2 DGRW, we have our 4 FDVV, we have our 8 VIG, and we have our 212 SPYT, which I also have to update that. So that more or less is where the portfolio is sitting as of right now. Like I said, I do have to update some positions, and as of recently, I have been using this dividend income that I'm getting paid out from all these positions to purchase quite a bit more shares pretty much every single trading day. Now coming soon, I'm going to be receiving some massive dividend payouts, which means I'm going to be doing some more buying, so definitely subscribe and stick around if you want to see exactly what I'm going to buy next. So now that we went over basically more or less the last 30 days of my purchasing when it comes to my long-term dividend portfolio, along with that I shared with you the fact that I have a new milestone of 703 shares of SCHD, I lastly most importantly want to hear from you guys down below. What are a handful of stocks or ETFs that you've been buying a lot as of recently? Drop the ticker symbols in my comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to please drop a like and subscribe for more future content like this. Thanks as always for stopping by, and if you are interested in investing, make sure to check out these recent videos I posted right here.